everybody is having a great day today as we get prepared for another Shedeur Sanders saga.
The Cleveland Browns front office is straight up in chaos right now. Word on the street is that ownership is furious with how Kevin Stefanski handled the whole Shedeur Sanders injury mess. And things are getting ugly fast.
People was clueless and pretty much saying that the young man was not hurt. He's hurt, guys. He would not be faking an injury like this. He will not be missing his reps. And for people to even say that narrative is mind-boggling to me. It's what it is. But with all of that being said, we got an update from Kevin Stefanski talking about Shedeur and pretty much the process is going to take for him to get back. Let's
While Stefanski's out here acting calm and collected in press conferences, behind closed doors, it's a totally different vibe. What's going down might shock you. We're talking about whispers of a coaching shakeup so big, it could rock the entire NFL. All this heat started over how the rookie's oblique injury was handled, and the fallout is wild. The pressure's building by the day. Fans are losing patience, and when Browns ownership starts digging for answers, somebody's job is on the line. Word is, heads could roll any minute now. What's good, everybody? We got another explosive Browns update that's got Cleveland spiraling into full-blown meltdown mode. And if you thought the Deshaun Watson drama was messy, wait till you hear what's cooking behind the scenes between Stefanski and this Shedeur Sanders injury saga. Here's what nobody's daring to say out loud. Fans are livid. They're calling for Stefanski's job after his post-game comments on Shedeur's condition, which only poured gasoline on an already raging fire. That viral clip from practice where Shedeur's tossing the ball, then suddenly grabs his side in pain, that wasn't no minor tweak. That was real pain from a quarterback fighting through something serious.
We want to see Shedeur again this weekend, right? I want to see that story. He was making things real interesting there in Cleveland. But man, like oblique injury, I know we've talked a little bit in the past. Oblique injury is tough for a quarterback. It's not the type of thing that you're just going to go, oh, I'll be okay in a few days. I mean, I'd be, of course, there's no way he's playing this weekend, I would think. And then what I would worry about is preseason game number 3, whether he can play then as well, right? And it's an issue. Again, as we talk about throwing the ball, the torque of the up.
But here's where it gets even juicier. Insiders say Browns ownership is furious. They feel the entire situation's been botched from top to bottom, and patience is wearing thin. The walls are closing in on Stefanski, and this could be the scandal that blows the doors wide open in Cleveland. Think about it for a second. You finally land a generational talent, a once-in-a-decade quarterback that brings hope back to a city that's been starving for a real contender, and what happens next? Your coaching staff can't even keep him healthy in practice. That's not just bad luck. That's pure incompetence, running from the sidelines, straight up to the front office. The fans are heated, and they've got every reason to be. After years of heartbreak and false promises, Cleveland thought they finally had their guy, and now this mess? It's embarrassing. Let's break this whole situation down because Kevin Stefanski's explanation doesn't make sense at all. He said he felt it early, warming up, and then felt it throughout individuals. Excuse me? Any halfway decent coaching staff would be watching their rookie quarterback like a hawk, especially one carrying this much hype and expectation. But somehow, Stefanski and his team let him keep throwing through the pain until he literally had to shut it down completely. That's not being cautious. That's negligence in plain sight. And then listen to how Stefanski tried to play it off.
Yeah, felt it early, I think warming up, and felt it throughout individuals who took a look at it. If it's a right guard, you can play through that. When it's a quarterback, you kind of need that muscle to throw. So unfortunately, I'm going to put him down for a little bit here. We'll treat it day to day and see how it responds. But I want to be smart because he's a thrower, so you can't push that thing.
It's such a critical point in your evaluation of these quarterbacks. How does it affect your evaluation of the quarterbacks?
Yeah, listen, injuries stink for all these guys. They don't want to miss a rep for any reason, Tony, but there's a way to continue to prepare, continue to get better, even when you're not getting the reps because of injuries.
It's an oblique coming in a lot like a hamstring. Is that one of those injuries that, it gets a little tricky to...
I think it's just with throwers and pitchers and guys that tour.
We'll treat it day to day and see how he responds, but want to be smart because he's a thrower. Day to day? Come on, bro. Oblique injuries are no joke for quarterbacks. That's your whole rotation, your torque, your accuracy. The fact he brushed it off so casually tells you everything you need to know about how disconnected this staff is from reality. Here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Stefanski and his staff pushed Shedeur too hard, too fast. They're out here trying to juggle 4 quarterbacks when they can barely keep 2 healthy. Dylan Gabriel's got a hamstring flare-up. Kenny Pickett's been struggling with his own issues, and now Shedeur's sidelined with an oblique strain that could have been avoided. That's not player development. That's a full-blown disaster disguised as a training camp. This isn't bad luck anymore. It's dysfunction at its finest, and Cleveland's patience is running out fast. And here's the real kicker that nobody's connecting yet. Browns ownership isn't just mad, they're furious. These aren't the kind of owners who sit quietly in the background. They've got their hands deep in football decisions, and right now, they're watching everything unravel in front of them. Jimmy Haslam didn't pour millions into building this quarterback room just to watch Kevin Stefanski turn it into a rehab clinic. This is supposed to be an investment, not a cautionary tale about what not to do with young talent. You want to know why ownership's boiling? Because they're looking around the league, seeing other rookie quarterbacks getting real development, and they're embarrassed by comparison. Caleb Williams is out there lighting it up in Chicago, like he's been in the league for years. Jaden Daniels is turning heads in Washington, showing flashes of brilliance that have fans buzzing. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders, the guy Cleveland hyped as NFL ready from day one, is stuck on the sideline clutching his side. It's not just bad luck anymore. It's a failure in leadership, plain and simple. And Stefanski made it worse with his own mouth. When reporters asked him about the evaluation process, he practically admitted he can't properly assess the quarterbacks because of the injuries. Injuries stink for all these guys. They don't want to miss a rep for any reason, he said. Seriously? Maybe if your training staff was actually paying attention, these guys wouldn't be missing reps left and right. Fans are seeing right through that excuse. It sounds weak, like someone trying to cover his tracks while the team falls apart. Let's be real. Stefanski's seat was already sizzling after last season's mess. The Browns barely kept their GM, Andrew Berry, from getting axed. And that only happened because Stefanski convinced ownership there was a bigger plan in motion. But now, that plan's falling apart fast, and the pressure heading into the 2025 season is unbearable.
In week 2 and week 3 of the preseason, it creates a groundswell of fan demand to flip it. And if he's not going to play this weekend, then I think it's going to be hard to derail Joe Flacco being the week 1 starter. So they're acting as if he's going to be. They kept him in bubble wrap.
He saved Barry's job last time. But who's going to save his when the results just don't match the hype? And then there's the fans. Oh, they're loud about this one. Social media is flooded with calls to make Shedeur Sanders QB1 now. After that preseason opener against Carolina, where Shedeur went 14 for 23 with 138 yards and 2 touchdowns, the city lit up. Fans saw a spark, a taste of what could be the future of Cleveland football, and now they're begging to see more, not less. They don't want to watch their young star rot on the bench nursing preventable injuries, while the team plays it safe with veterans. But here's what's really eating at the Browns' ownership. They know they've got something rare on their hands with Shedeur. This isn't just another rookie draft pick. This is their potential franchise quarterback for the next decade, a name that could define the next era of Browns football. And instead of protecting that investment, Stefanski's system is wearing him down before he even gets started. The optics are awful. Joe Flacco, a 40-year-old vet, is staying healthier than your 22-year-old phenom. How's that supposed to make the organization look? It's not just embarrassing, it's unacceptable, and the walls around Stefanski's job are closing in fast. You've got Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett both fighting through soft tissue injuries, and now Shedeur Sanders is sidelined with an oblique strain that could linger for weeks if it's not treated right. That's not bad luck. That's straight-up organizational failure. Something's broken inside the Browns system and everyone knows it. But here's the twist that's got fans really fired up. Kevin Stefanski didn't just fumble the injury management, he intentionally slowed down the Shedeur Sanders hype train right when the fans were ready to ride it full speed ahead. The timing couldn't be worse. Just as Cleveland was buzzing, just as people started believing this might finally be the turning point, Stefanski slammed the brakes. And why? Because he's more worried about controlling the narrative than letting his young star shine. He's playing it safe when he should be unleashing talent. Ownership's watching all this unfold, asking one big question that could define the entire franchise. Is Kevin Stefanski really the right coach to develop our future? Let's be real. If you can't keep your quarterbacks healthy and you can't create a competitive atmosphere without players getting banged up every week, then what exactly are you offering as a head coach? This is the N.F.L., not a rehab clinic. And to make things worse, the Browns' upcoming schedule looks brutal. They're about to run headfirst into some of the toughest defenses in the league. The Bengals, Ravens, Lions, and Vikings. Those aren't teams you want to face with a banged-up roster and a confused quarterback rotation. But thanks to Stefanski's shaky decisions, that's exactly where Cleveland's heading. The irony here is wild. Stefanski was supposed to be the quarterback whisperer, the calm, calculated genius who could develop talent and turn prospects into stars. But where's the proof? He inherited a team stacked with playoff-level talent and managed to squeeze out one good season. One. Since then, it's been a cycle of disappointment, excuses, and regression. Every year, the same story plays out. Hope, hype, collapse. And now, instead of protecting the future, he's putting it at risk. Shedeur Sanders was meant to be the fresh start, the spark to reignite this franchise. But under Stefanski's watch, that spark's being smothered before it can even catch fire. Sources close to the organization are already saying ownership is not buying what Kevin's selling anymore. Behind closed doors, the mood's turning cold, and the whispers are getting louder. They're asking hard questions, the kind that don't end with second chances. Because if Stefanski can't prove he can lead and protect the future, Cleveland might just decide it's time to find someone who can. Questions are flying all over the place right now inside the Browns building, and they're the kind of questions that make people sweat. Why can't this team keep their quarterbacks healthy? Why does the training staff always look one step behind when it comes to handling young talent? And the biggest one of all, is Kevin Stefanski really the right man to lead this franchise into the future? These aren't casual conversations anymore. They're serious talks happening in real time with jobs hanging in the balance. But here's where it gets really interesting. Despite all the chaos, all the noise, and all the injuries, Shedeur Sanders is proving that he belongs. Even with Stefanski trying to control the hype and downplay expectations, Shedeur's performance against Carolina spoke volumes. That wasn't luck. That was pure, undeniable talent shining through in limited snaps. He looked poised, confident, and ready, and you could see it in how the offense came alive whenever he was under center. This is the part that's making fans furious and ownership uneasy. They know this kid's the real deal, and yet he's being handled like a backup project instead of the future face of the franchise. The Browns' front office didn't draft Shedeur as some long-term rebuild piece. They drafted him because he was NFL ready. They wanted him to push for the starting job right away, not sit in team meetings watching his oblique heal, while the same old mistakes get repeated week after week. And let's be honest, the Cleveland fan base is done with excuses. They've seen this movie too many times. Young quarterbacks hyped up, then broken down by bad management and bad luck. From Couch to Manziel to Mayfield, it's the same heartbreak on repeat. They thought Shedeur would be different, the one to flip the script and change the culture. But instead, it's starting to look like the same old Browns dysfunction, just wearing a new jersey. And it's not just the fans anymore. The pressure is closing in from every direction. The media's beginning to circle, digging deeper into Stefanski's decisions and calling out inconsistencies in his messaging. Reporters are asking tougher questions at every press conference, and his answers aren't cutting it. Meanwhile, players inside that locker room are watching closely too. They're wondering whether this coaching staff can actually develop talent or if it's just going to be another wasted opportunity. When the players start losing faith, that's when things really start to fall apart. Ownership sees it too. Behind closed doors, the message is clear. We gave you Joe Flacco as a veteran safety net. We gave you multiple draft picks to build depth. We built a competitive quarterback room, and somehow it's still falling apart. That's the energy in those meetings. Frustration and disbelief. At some point, you can't keep blaming bad luck. The oblique injury isn't an isolated issue. It's a symptom of a bigger problem. This is about preparation, or lack of it. The Browns have the talent, the resources, and the fan support. What they don't have is consistency and leadership at the top. And if Kevin Stefanski can't fix that fast, ownership might just decide the solution starts with replacing him. Conditioning and smart management of valuable assets. That's what separates winning franchises from chaotic ones. When you've got a young quarterback who could be worth hundreds of millions to your team's future, you don't take unnecessary risks with his health in meaningless practices. You protect that investment like it's gold. But here's what's driving Browns fans crazy. Shedeur Sanders isn't just any player. This kid's built different. He's tough as nails. Back in Colorado, he took hits that would have rattled most players, and he kept getting up. He's not afraid of contact, he's not scared of the spotlight, and mentally, he's already wired for the NFL grind. So when an injury like this happens, an oblique strain during routine practice, fans aren't buying the bad luck excuse anymore. It raises serious questions about what's happening behind the scenes. The training methods, the conditioning plans, the recovery schedules, all of it. Something clearly isn't adding up. What makes it even worse is Stefanski's approach. While he's out here giving the same recycled line, we're taking it day to day. We don't want to rush anything. Other teams are getting results. Look at Chicago. They're letting Caleb Williams get real game reps and confidence. Washington's doing the same with Jaden Daniels, letting him take control and learn on the fly. But in Cleveland, they're treating their first-round pick like he's made of glass, and it's driving everyone insane. This overly cautious, scared style of coaching isn't leadership. It's hesitation. And Browns ownership sees it plain as day. They didn't invest millions of dollars in this quarterback room just to sit on their hands while opportunities slip away. They wanted a system that builds momentum, not one that stalls it every time someone gets a bruise. You can't build a championship culture around fear, and that's exactly what Stefanski's showing right now. Fear of losing, fear of risk, fear of accountability. Here's the harsh truth that ownership is staring down. Kevin Stefanski's had 5 years to prove he's the right guy for this job. 5 seasons of chances to develop quarterbacks and build something sustainable. And what's he got to show for it? 1 playoff appearance, multiple quarterback controversies, and now his most promising rookie is injured before the regular season even kicks off. The frustration in Cleveland is boiling over. The fans are angry, the locker room's losing confidence, and the front office is done, waiting for things to click. The whispers around Berea are getting louder by the day. Whispers about a fresh start, about finding someone who can actually maximize the talent they've invested in, not waste it with poor conditioning and scared decision-making. If things don't turn around fast, those whispers won't stay whispers for long. They'll turn into a headline. Cleveland Browns move on from Kevin Stefanski. And at this point, that headline might be closer than anyone thinks. The Browns need someone who truly gets it. Someone who understands that player development and health management go hand in hand. You can't build a winning culture if your best players are constantly limping through practice or sitting in the training room. But let me tell you what still gives me hope for Shedeur Sanders. This kid's built different. No matter what chaos is swirling around him, Shedeur's got the mental toughness to rise above it all. He's been under pressure his entire life, growing up in the spotlight, carrying expectations that would have broken most players. And still, every step of the way, he's delivered. High school, college, now the pros, he's proven he belongs at every level. 1 oblique injury isn't stopping that kind of drive. It's just a speed bump for a quarterback who's destined for greatness. Shedeur's got the focus, the discipline, and the fire to turn this setback into fuel. And that's what separates stars from legends. But here's the question that's got the whole city talking. Will the organization match that same energy? Will the Browns finally get serious about building the right structure around this kid? Or are they going to keep repeating the same mistakes that have haunted this franchise for decades? Because no matter how talented Shedeur is, no player can thrive in a system that's broken from the inside. If that means ownership has to make some tough decisions about the coaching staff, then maybe it's time they stop making excuses and start making moves. Here's the cold truth. Every Browns fan already knows deep down. Talent without proper development is wasted potential. And Cleveland has wasted enough potential to last a lifetime. This city's been through heartbreak after heartbreak, watching promising players fade away under bad management and worse leadership. They finally have a shot at something special, a quarterback who could redefine the franchise, and they can't afford to blow it again? So the question stands, is Kevin Stefanski really sitting on the hot seat this time, or is this just another round of typical Cleveland drama? Because if ownership doesn't act soon, fans won't be asking. They'll be demanding change. So here's the million-dollar question. Are the Cleveland Browns finally ready to make the tough calls it takes to become a real championship organization? Or are they going to keep spinning in the same tired cycle that's kept this franchise stuck in mediocrity for decades? Fans are fed up with excuses. They want action. And then there's the heart of the story. Do you believe Shedeur Sanders has the grit to bounce back from this injury and still rise as the franchise quarterback Cleveland's been dreaming about? Because if there's one thing we've learned about Shedeur, it's that he doesn't fold under pressure. He fights through it, but at the same time, you can't help but wonder, is this the start of another Browns quarterback controversy waiting to explode? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Browns ownership should finally pull the trigger and move on from Kevin Stefanski? Or should they give him one more shot to prove he can turn this chaos into something real before it's too late? The fans are split, the media is watching closely, and the tension around this team is reaching its breaking point. This situation is evolving by the minute, and trust me, I'll be bringing you every wild twist and shocking update as it drops. So if you want to stay locked in on all the Browns drama, insider scoops, and behind-the-scenes heat, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash that like, and turn on those notifications. Cleveland's about to make some big moves, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. This story's just getting started, and it's about to get crazy.